Welcome back to TV Recap. It kind of rhymes, just a little bit.
No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't, not at all. Welcome back. We're finally...
You should be embarrassed.
I am embarrassed. I'm quite honestly always embarrassed. But I see CTQ, you have an astronaut helmet on, and we're doing TV Recap.
What?
So we're doing Star Trek. That thing
Star Trek.
that Red Letter Media loves so much. Hi, Jay.
Hi, Jay.
Fun story. We actually did episode 1 of TV Recap. An even funnier story, we did this very scene previously. And I messed it up because I revealed CTQ's name, but I digress. We did the Man Trap episode.
I mean, you just said my name. I'm CTQ.
And what happened? Do you remember what happened when we reviewed the Man Trap the first time?
Didn't you forget to turn the camera on?
Yes, I forgot to turn the freaking camera on, so it was just a blank screen. No, we thought it was recording and we didn't, and we decided we'll do it later, and then more restrictions happened. So here we are, watching the episode where a woman... Where what?
He said, here we are. Where is this anyway?
This is Star Trek Episode 1, The Man Trap. McFly, anyone home? McFly? What is underneath that thing anyway? Oh, ah! So that was the Man Trap. Well, that was an episode.
I took notes.
He took notes. Where should we be?
Staking notes.
You know, CTQ actually has a lot more to say about this episode than I did.
I've got words.
So I'm gonna let him take the floor.
No, Lieutenant. I am the captain now. They beam down to a planet, not Earth. Captain Kirk sees a plant and says, I'm gonna touch this plant without gloves. Now, for all we know, that could have been this alien planet's version of Poison Ivy, Poison Sumac, Gimpy. He just sees a random plant and thinks, yeah, you know what, that's not poisonous. I'm just gonna rub my greasy Kirk hands all over this thing. And he's just like, oh yeah, I got the plant. And then, like, moments later, again, finds a dead crew member. Okay? Note, Kirk is not the medical expert. He is not supposed to be examining bodies. He is the captain. Bones is the medical professional. And what's he do when he sees a dead crew member? He reaches his fist into that guy's mouth, pulls out something and says, hey look, contaminated the evidence with my oily captain hands. Hey Bones, check out what I found in a dead guy's mouth. No gloves at all, no regard for hygiene or preserving evidence. And Bones is like, okay, that could be poisonous. And Kirk is like, oh yeah, the thing I'm touching with my bare hands that I reached out of a corpse mouth? Yeah, you think this isn't good?
Prometheus science, folks. This episode probably broke CTQ, and I'm not gonna lie. Some of it, I could excuse a lot of this episode if it were not for the math that CTQ kept bringing up. There were other logistical problems with it. It was a fun episode, but it was more fun just seeing CTQ have a nervous breakdown. He was giggling like a madman, saying, I'm having fun and frustrated at the same time. And the question remains, did you at least have fun watching it? Or were you too frustrated to have fun?
I used math to prove that this is bullshit. I had a great day.
Would you say you enjoyed this more than the pilot?
Oh yeah, the pilot I got to rant and rave about how they didn't use proper eye protection when working with lasers. This one, the whole thing breaks down. The entire premise falls apart with a pocket calculator. Salt, my friends. They start off with 25 pounds of salt. That is 11,340 grams worth of salt. For reference, a human body contains about 200 grams worth of salt. That is 40 tablespoons. Over the course of 5 years, dividing the amount of salt they have, that is about 57 humans worth of salt. over 5 years, or 0.031 humans worth of salt in a day. Now, the salt vampire goes and eats 5 humans worth of salt in 2 days. That is 80 times the amount of salt that it's been having. Imagine if I ate 80 days worth of food right in front of you.
That'd be very disturbing.
Imagine if I drank 80 times the normal amount of water. I would get sick, I would die.
This thing is throughout the whole episode just has this look, and at least I started making this joke where it have this dumb voice because it kept looking with lust and weird facial expressions at people. We just started making.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
It wants more after having 80 times the normal amount that it's been having. A pocket calculator and a quick search destroys this.
I suck at math, and even I suck at math, but even a layman like me could understand a pocket calculator. What I was going at was, we were just making fun of this thing, and we just look blankly at people, and we just started going, so.
Looking for that lost shaker of soul. Some men claim there's a yo-man to blame, but I know
it's my own damn fault, or it's the writer's fault.
I blame McCoy.
Okay, do you have problems with McCoy throughout this episode?
A few, yeah.
Alright, what are your problems with McCoy?
Well, for one, he's pining over someone he knew 10 years ago. At what point do you have to get over it? Honestly.
I can bring Audrey Hepburn back to life. I've read Frankenstein. Everything's gonna work out completely fine.
You will take one look at those corpse eyes and freak out.
Okay, that's fair. That also was in Frankenstein, I think. Didn't you also have this thing about Spock at the beginning where Uhura's flirting with him, and you were saying that Uhura should know that Vulcans are all logic and she should know?
Okay, so it's the first episode after the pilot. Maybe they don't have the lore down, but
they have to set it up a little bit, like what a Vulcan.
Given the lore that we know now, in retrospect, Uhura should know what a Vulcan is, and should know that flirting with one and asking, "Why won't you call me pretty?"
Or talk about what a moon is on Vulcan, what a moon is like on Vulcan. Vulcan has no moon. You would think even a communications expert would probably know about there being no moon on Vulcan.
Would at the very least know not to flirt with one. Speaking of Vulcans, when we see Spock injured in this episode, he's got this big old green bruise, but the cut on his forehead is red.
He has elf ears.
He bleeds Christmas.
Vulcans are elves. They bleed Christmas.
Space elves.
I guess we should. Is there anything else really to talk about the episode? Like, there wasn't really worth anything noting, really. Uhura was flirting with a Vulcan and not knowing about them. Sulu was not acting as the pilot. He was acting as the science officer, I believe. There was no Scotty at the warp speed, which we didn't even notice or mention.
Ah, yes. So, another thing.
Okay.
Another gripe. Alright, I'm just full of these gripes.
Go for it.
Alright?
This is entertaining to me.
So, they're on the surface of the planet. There's 2 missing people. Okay? Nancy and her husband. And they're saying, oh, the equipment on the Enterprise, it can pick up anything as small as a match on the surface of the planet. First off, no, wouldn't. The energy would be dissipated by the atmosphere. Anyway.
Hey, so 23rd century.
They have to beam up to the Enterprise to use it. They can't just call the Enterprise on their phones and say, hey, while we're on the surface of the planet, could you give us an idea as to where the professor ran off to? Okay, thank you.
Oh,
they have to go back up to the ship to find out, for whatever reason, and then use the intercoms. While they're on the ship, they use the intercoms. You see something light up on the wall, saying Uhura to the bridge, and Uhura has to run over to the wall panel and press it. But they're allowed to use phones when they're on the planet. Are they not allowed to use phones on the ship? Do they stop working once you get into space?
I like the spaceship parts when they show the spaceship because the spaceship is cool.
Yeah. And somehow interferes with phones.
Pew 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 pew. Ah! It's a collectibles item.
And don't get me started on tilting the hyperlift.
So that was the man trap. Spoiler alert: the man trap was salt. Salt was the trap for the buffalo, because that's like the last word in the episode. I was just saying about the buffalo, and they just look at Kirk, and he's like, warp speed. Da 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 da. CCQ, what did you think of the man trap, and what are your opinions on salt?
I think they were on an alien planet, looking at ruins of an alien species of salt vampires, and the prop department said, let's put a lion statue there. You know, those alien lions.
Space.
Hanging out with the salt vampires.
I don't have anything to add. I guess it was a fun episode, but it fell apart with CTQ bringing logic into it. Ironic that logic destroyed a Star Trek episode. Who would have frickin' figured that one out?
I know, right?
You showed joy in tearing this apart. It's not logical, CTQ.
Oh. Yes, well, some people just want to watch the episode burn.
That was TV Recap. Live long and go to hell, the man trap.